Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this ermine applique pattern. I'm saying ermine because that is the animal that I have in front of me right now. I made this one in ermine colors, but the same pattern will work for any of those animals that have that kind of sinuous neck, and they're all related. They're all part of the weasel family, so ermines, weasels, mink, stoat, ferrets, also mongoose, they're not part of that same family, but they have that same kind of a sinuous neck. So I think you could use this also to make a mongoose. So I'm going to show you at the end of the video several different versions that I made with different colors to get all of those different animals. But here's how to make it. All right, this is the video showing you how to put together the ermine or this is actually going to be a ferret. So we'll call this one a ferret for this video. So this is one where we're going to put it together without using a light box. So I've got all of the pieces prepared. That means I have cut them out on the solid lines and I have traced all of the dotted lines through to the fabric side of each piece. And I have also traced the solid lines that are within the pieces. Any of those that I want to use, those are stitching lines. So in this one, I am going to stitch the whiskers. I am not going to stitch the eyelashes. So I've transferred whiskers and I've not transferred eyelashes. So we're going to put all of these pieces together. So I like to do most of my blocks what I call snapshot style. So I want it to look like I have snapped a photo of this animal and zoomed way in on the face. So when I position my pieces, I always start with the pieces that have the square cut off edges. And in this case, when I designed this block, I really wanted to emphasize that kind of sinuous neck that these animals have. And so I had him coming in from the corner of the block so that I could get that kind of movement in there. So I am going to set this up so that these squares, these straight edges go right into the corner of this block. So when I trim it, before I sew them together, I'm going to trim down to that corner. That's going to be my starting place. And then when I sew them all together, this seam is going to be caught in my stitching to the seam to sew the blocks together, and so is this seam. And that's going to give the illusion of him looking like he is popping into the photo. And that is always my goal with this snapshot style layout. So the next thing we're going to put in is the major face piece. So that one, I've got this line that I transferred. I am going to just lay this so that it overlaps that line. And then I know I have a good amount of overlap, and this will hold up in the wash. I also have these whiskers that are going to be a nice guideline to help me get everything really lined up well. So this guy has 2 ears. And if you're ever not sure which one is which, you can usually kind of tell by putting them in place. If you put it in the wrong place, it just looks really odd. But if you ever want to just double check things, the pattern comes with a placement guide, and that has all of the pieces on there, and they are all numbered so that you can see what piece is what. So you could have looked up the ear number 3 is the one that goes on that side of his head. So now I'm doing number 2. And it's going to tuck on this side. And again, I'm just going to tuck it behind until it covers up that line of stitching, or that line that I transferred. I'm going to tuck this guy down a little bit lower to just get them even. All right, now, since I'm doing the ferret, I'm going to use the mask piece. If you were doing the ermine or a weasel or a mink, you would not have this mask. But ferrets have it kind of a distinctive black mask on their face, or it's not black, it's just darker. Sometimes it's gray. I made mine a brown, mostly bronze ferret. And then his muzzle is going to lay over that piece. And they can have a darker or a lighter muzzle, and I chose to give mine a lighter one. So if you're trying to match your own personal pet ferret, you would just look at it, see what colors it has where. So I'm just getting all those whisker lines lined up. It's a little confusing on this one because I also chose a striped fabric on that mask, which in retrospect made it a little difficult to see those whisker lines, but it all worked out. There's faces coming together. Now we're going to do one of his eyes. So ferrets usually have a darker chest. If you're doing a weasel block, which is one of the examples that I'm going to show you later, they tend to have a lighter chest. Almost always their chest is white or kind of cream colored. So you'll want to just look at the animal that you're doing. But I'm going to show you at the end of this 3 different animals that I made just by changing the colors. All right, so there we have a little ferret face. So I'm going to very carefully carry this over to my ironing board, fuse all the pieces in place, do all the outline stitching, and then I will bring it back here and show you the finished ferret, but also show you a weasel and an ermine that I made with the same pattern. All right, here is the finished ermine. So this one I'm saying is an ermine because I made it in ermine colors. So this is a quilt bundle that I'm working on that is all Arctic animals. And it is all from all the color palette that I'm using is from the Sea Breeze collection, which is all these kind of muted, faded, beachy colors. So the ermine here is all the oyster blenders, so very, very light grays. And all of the background blocks in this entire bundle that I'm working on are kind of surf. So it's all surf blenders, which is all this kind of muted, weathered blue. But like I said at the beginning, you can use this pattern to make several different animals depending on the colors you use. And there's one optional piece that I will show you. So this one has the extra mask piece, and I've used it to make a ferret. So ferrets usually have a dark lower body and a lighter face with a darker mask on it. The muzzle can be light or dark, and the ears are usually light to match the face. So if you want to make a ferret, just use that mask piece. Otherwise, leave that off. And this is for a pets collection that I'm working on. So all of the animals in this bundle are going to be, the samples that I'm making are with realistic colors. This is all grizzly blenders from the Animal Kingdom collection. And all of the background blocks are going to be pink using the strawberry blenders from the Farmer's Market collection. And I've got one more sample. This one is a weasel. And this one I made for a new Woodland Critters collection. So there are more animals needed for the Woodland Critters. So this one I used same grizzly blenders, but weasels, unlike ferrets, usually have a very light chest and belly. So I used a really light creamy shade. And then the face is usually darker and the muzzle can be dark or light depending. And this one, you can see I did the eyelashes. I included the eyelashes. You can stitch them or leave them off, whatever you like. So that's just 3 examples. If you wanted to make a mink, I would use more brown, not so reddish brown, but more brown, and make the lower part of the body and the muzzle too brown. They're pretty uniformly colored. But just look at the animal that you want to make. Any of these kind of animals with that sinuous neck, this pattern will work for them. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and I will see you next time.